Hello, football family. Welcome back into Huddle It Up Films. This is Jason. I have Knox from Ravens Elite with me. Every day in training camp is a new day, and a lot of times the news is not good, like it was today in Ravens camp. First round rookie Rashod Bateman injured for an unknown amount of time. He's going to have surgery to repair a groin injury, and I had to bring Knox on to talk about this. I was fortunate enough to have him. Knox, could you just give us an idea of your podcast, introduce yourself? I know that thing's coming out Monday at 4 o'clock. I watch
Yeah,
every,
you know it, bro.
yeah, man, and
You
I'm a
know it,
regular
bro.
listening, and I like the fact that
Yeah, I
y'all keep it
appreciate
on
it.
schedule. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about your work, though, and you and Jameel, for those who don't know.
Yeah, Jason. I mean, it's crazy. Me and Jamil just we had this idea a long time ago as far as Ravens Elite, and we just pitching it in our heads like, man, if we can get on a different platform or, just get our ideas out there, bring a whole new perspective to the Ravens community, we feel like that it would just turn out great. We envisioned this from a while back in January, bro, months ago. So now it's like we finally here. Like we finally here. We finally built this, and we're building our brand. Every Monday, our content comes out. I'm pretty sure Jason will have the link somewhere posted around here. If you haven't seen my previous videos with Jason, he always posts the link. He always is a regular listener. He always sheds his insight, gives his additional insight on topics that we discuss. And Jason gave a few topics out here that we did consider, and it was great. Going forward, just considering me and you having that constant dialogue, it's been great. But yeah,
Yeah.
Ravens Elite podcast on all platforms. We recorded on Anchor, and yeah, it's been good, man. Every Monday at 4 p.m. we drop.
Yeah, Knox isn't kidding there. I'm a big supporter of the show, a regular listener, and I like to comment, start some conversations on there. And what I love about their show, and I kind of relate to it to my channel, is that you can get something out of that podcast no matter what kind of Ravens fan you are. If you're hardcore into the stats and the analytics, you have something that you can to pick up from that. And if you're just more of a casual fan and just enjoy talking ball, you get something out of that too. So that's what I like to do on my channel. And then I support Knox and Jameel first and foremost as my friends. But I've been Knox. I gotta admit, I'm like got the big brother vibes over here. Like just so proud watching you guys grow. But I apologize for the long intro with Knox and putting you on the spot and having you talk
Nah,
about
bro, you
yourself.
good, bro. You
But
good,
yeah,
bro. That's what
I
we
love
do.
it. I love it, man. I just
What we
love
do
it.
here, man.
It makes me feel like I'm home when I'm listening to you and Jameel. It just seems like a football conversation I would have with my friends, whether you guys are in the room with me or not. So I love it. But
Yeah. We try to provide like a realistic perception, like so a casual fan or someone who's not in tune, with the Ravens as much, like you say, analytically or, stuff like that, like statistics, stuff like that. Just certain things that, you know, the organization has that some people just with the regular eye or naked eye, they wouldn't see.
yeah, exactly, and that's something I pride my channel on too. Knox is having something for
Right.
everybody to be able to enjoy. Film study or just a regular discussion. It's all
Oh, yeah.
good. You can enjoy it. You can find what fits you here in both my channel and your podcast. But yes,
Yeah,
some
bro.
sad news though, Knox. Some sad news.
Yeah.
Big fan of Rashod Bateman. I mean, this injury, a groin injury. Part of me is happy that he's going to decide to take care of it instead of trying to play through this
Right.
thing, because Rashad, you can see he was trying to play through it, had to leave practice early. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Can you see it like that?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it like that. I can see it like one thing about Rashad. I mean, if you read the scouting report, this guy's a workaholic. Like, you know what I'm saying, and not in a bad way. No bad connotation, no negative connotation mentioned with that. It's just like his work ethic. You know, that's what he prides himself upon. He's a highly motivated individual, and when you combine that with preparation, I mean, you're gonna get results like that. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, you hate to see it, but the blessing in disguise is that it didn't happen in season, it happened before season, so he'll have enough time to recover and get back and take that much needed rest. A lot of things that you know we talked about it, Jason, all the time is that like one thing about Rashad, he was working, pre-draft, after he got drafted, then OTAs, then rookie minicamp, and
Nighttime
then
at
you
night.
know, yeah, at night. Like bro, he doesn't rest. I don't feel like he didn't really get a chance to rest, and that's not something you ever want to be like, hey, Rashod, you might want to slow down. No, like that's just him. That's in his nature, and we're never gonna demean someone's work ethic by saying, yeah, you need to slow down, Rashad. But it's just sometimes your body is telling you, man, it's time to take a rest. It's time to take a break. Just a little break here. So this is much needed. Unfortunately, at the expense of us learning our new passing game and our passing scheme, it sucks, but I mean, it's better. It's better now than later down the line when those games start to mean a little bit more.
For sure, man. And like I said, I give Rashad a lot of credit for being mature about this and really seeing the big picture. Because, as somebody that works hard yourself, it's hard to admit that, hey, man, maybe I should just take some time off and get this fixed and miss an extended
Yeah,
amount of time. Like,
yeah,
this is his rookie
yeah,
year. And we just talked about how hard he works and his mentality. So I give him and whoever was in his ear a lot of credit for just sometimes you got to take a pause on life, Knox. You don't get a choice. And if you want to do what's better for you, sometimes you got to just take the L and see the big picture. So I love that
yeah,
in Rashad.
yeah. And like you were saying, like he took care of the groin surgery. He's taking care of it now. Whereas though, you know, this is not something you can just put a patch on, put a Band-Aid on, and get a cortisone shot and just, all right, man, I'm good, I'm ready to go. Like, nah, bro. Like, take your time and actually address this issue. And like you said, that speaks to his maturation processes. That like he's learning. Like, yeah, I want to take care of this. I want to be done with this. I want to be full go and ready for this team. And I know that's his mentality. That's his mindset. And I know he'll come back even better than ever, man.
And it matches the Ravens' personality a lot
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about that
Mm-hmm.
work ethic. We talked about this during the draft, Knox, but the Ravens picked players who played through the 2020 pandemic, whose football meant so much to them. I mean, if you look at Sean Wade, he had a great 2019. He played through 2020 with all the things that happened to him, but
Right.
not to linger on Sean Wade too much. But Rashad himself had this breakout 2019. He could have rested on that, took the money and ran, but he decided to
Mm-hmm.
play through 2020. Hey, who knows, Knox? He might have been dealing with that groin injury last year. Maybe that's why,
Right.
not only a position change in the quarterbacks that they had, but, this is a guy that wants to work hard. I am not worried one bit about Rashod Bateman and his career here with the
Nah.
Ravens. Like, it's
Yeah.
easy for fans to get emotional, and I see a lot of emotionally driven things being said on Ravens Twitter,
Right.
and with our history of wide receivers and injuries and everything. But Rashad, hats off to him again for just taking the step and saying, "Nah, I need to sit out for as long as it takes to come back 100% healthy." So,
Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
Knox,
Yeah. Yeah. Say it again, Jason.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, like I was just alluding to your point, bro. Like, yeah, like kudos to him is just to take a break. And John Harbaugh monitoring this situation carefully. I mean, he's not one of those coaches, as we all know. He takes care of his players, so that was always his big thing. There, it's like he takes care of his players, and that's why a lot of guys wanted to come here. So that's great that he learned that, man, and he's going to continue to mold and be the Raven that we all expect him to be. It's just a minor setback, major comeback.
There you go. So Rashad, if you're out there, prayers are with you 100%. I know you probably won't watch the program, but really pulling for you. I love your style. I love your style on the field, off the field, work ethic. I can relate a lot to it, and you were born to be a Raven. So prayers up to Rashad. I know you'll be back, and hopefully we'll
Yes,
be
sir.
making that playoff run together, man.
Yes,
We'll be able
sir.
to watch it. But
Yes, sir.
we have to talk about though, Knox, how this affects the rest of the receivers in camp for the Ravens.
Of course.
Their preseason time all is going to be extra important now, and their roles are really they're gonna have to use this preseason to kind of define their roles with the team. Now, of course, Knox, we're not going to see any. I mean, Harbaugh admitted it, and we all know it. There's not going to be a particular game install for the Saints to prepare for this Saturday. They're going to run their basic offense, but it's
Hmm.
still a chance for other guys in that wide receiver room to shine in basic play calling, basic situations to see who can win one-on-one. So can you pick a receiver for me? Just pick one out of the hat that you're looking for to pick up some of this slack that Bateman's going to leave for us.
I think the most obvious one is James Prochet.
What?
Um,
What? Who?
James Prochet.
Oh yeah.
I think that James Prochet is probably the most obvious situation. I mean, you've seen him in camp. You've seen how he's been, you know, I mean, he's been battling, man, and it was that conversation, of him getting that sixth spot. But now, I mean, with these injuries, you can see him moving up into that upper echelon, that fourth spot, something like that third spot, and at least until he comes back. Rashod Bateman. So I definitely think James Prochet, he's going to be a guy that I had my eyes on. I mean, he didn't have off season last year. SMU, I mean, he filled up the stat sheet. He was a beast. He was a beast
Yeah.
there. So I'm just excited to see him finally just get a chance and not just be catching punch or not just doing, basic special team stuff. Like, he actually gets a chance to prove. And I think more than anything, he wants to prove that I'm that wide receiver. I'm that guy that y'all was looking for. I'm that guy that you guys have been hoping and wishing for in free agency. Like, we bring in that guy. Like, I am that guy. And he doesn't lack confidence a bit. You see it in his Instagram posts, he said, when everybody wants to play games, something like that. Like, he want to play too, something like that. So when you hear that, when you speak to that type of confidence, I definitely want to see him, how he fares against. I mean, the Saints, this week is going to be kind of the secondary. I don't think they're going to have too many of their guys out there as well, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to see.
You might have missed my joke there at the beginning, but I'm just such a huge James Prochet fan. I've been saying it since last year. I trust my evaluations. I trust my evaluation, Knox, and James Prochet, what I've seen his movement skills in practice and the few reps that he got last year, running that whipper out like nobody's business. Like, I'm just his biggest fan. So yeah, that's why I said who because man.
Hey, bro, the wide receivers here. If the Ravens fans don't know him, they're gonna be quick to say who is that, bro.
Yeah,
they're gonna be quick to say who is that. Believe that.
Well, what I love about Prochet is, and I mentioned this when we had the guys from Ravens Recap on the show, is that he's not just going to be one of these prototypical slot receivers who is limited in what they can run. James Prochet is an absolute monster when it comes to contested catches and ball tracking. So he may not have that prototypical long speed that you're looking for in an outside receiver or in the boundaries, but we saw a highlight the other day of him skying over Ardarius Washington. The two of them were both on the ball, and that looked to me, Knox, like they don't tell you, but it looked like it was on the right sideline. So the flexibility in James Prochet, I don't think he'll just be boxed into that like Julian Edelman role as the guy everybody knows that I can make the comparison to, where he's just running 8-yard routes all day and killing you, moving the chains. Like, James Prochet gives you something downfield that I just love, man.
Yeah, and I had that actually, like, look at it live. Like, I was invited to training camp and I was able to, watch it and be like, wow, like, I've seen it was Lamar, he threw a beautiful pass. I mean, Marlon Humphrey was guarding him. And it was Marlon Humphrey and Deshaun Elliott. And Lamar threw it, and I'm like, bro, like, dang, I hope it's this inside. And then before you you talked about his ball tracking skills, I mean, he was covered. Marlon Humphrey was on him, bro. Like, it's no, like, he was on him. You know how Marlon is, man. So, and he threw it, and he was able to catch it. He caught it, contested catch and all, and he was able to get his feet in. And that was one of the plays I don't think they might not have shown. But I've seen it live, man. This guy's an absolute workhorse. I mean, the first guy in, last guy out, that type of mentality, like you said, the perfect embodiment of what a Raven is. And that's definitely James Prochet, another guy that, has tremendous work ethic.
For sure. And, when you talk about wide receiver 6, there's different connotations to that. I don't think people dig in enough to really to be able to, like, that's a basic label. But really, Prochet could be our backup, our number one backup at the slot receiver. And really, at this point, I think that he's earned that. We're going to have to see it in the preseason games. But when I looked at that stadium practice, the one thing that really got me excited, it was only one side of the formation, but they zoomed in on Sammy Watkins at X on the line of scrimmage. Bateman backed up off the line of scrimmage next to him in the slot. And I'm like, oh, yeah, man, like seeing it in person or, just seeing it on TV was just
Right,
like,
right.
oh, yeah, we actually got something over here on the side. So, how do you think it affects other receivers aside from Prochet? Like say take Devin Duvernay, Tylan Wallace, anybody that you like. Who else would you like to speak on? And
If anything, we always have, that mantra here is nobody cares, work harder. And it's also followed by another mantra is next man up, the next man up. And I think you got Duvernay who's looking to take a big leap here. Tylan Wallace was a guy that they, you know, every team overlooked because of some health issues or whatever you want to call it.
yep,
But I think that both of these guys are going to be great compliments to this offense, man. I mean, like I said, Duvernay didn't get a chance last year, and what guys are forgetting are Keith Williams and T. Martin are acquisitions as well to this offense, to this wide receiver core. They're going to do anything but boost this confidence in these guys and give them all the tools and give them all the drills and all the techniques and just to fit in the scheme well. It's going to be great for both of these guys. I think Duvernay, you're going to start seeing him become a more polished route runner. I know that's been a knack on him for a while. Is like he's just track speed, or we just throw an end around, or we just do a screen. Like I think you're going to actually see him run some legitimate routes here. Tylan Wallace, I mean, same for him. He's been a sufficient route runner as well. So I think both of these guys will be able to step into this role pretty well. I think you got guys, like I told you before, we talked about this, Benjamin Victor, hopefully he can make a late push and he can get his name put his name in the hat. And we know that he excels at 50-50 ball catches and, it's easy for him.
yes.
So, but like we all said, everything looks good on paper, but we just want to see it translate to real action, game live action. And we would love to see, these guys produce. I mean, we've been seeing training camp pictures, videos, content on them. Now it's just time to put your money where your mouth is, pretty much.
Now, Knox, I knew you were out at Ravens training camp and got a good look at these guys. One thing that I noticed about Duvernay at the stadium practice, sometimes in Knox, just to back up, you have to read through the tea leaves because we don't get to see everything, and we don't know. You have to know your place as a fan. And one thing that I read through the tea leaves was with Hollywood not at that practice, it wasn't Tylan Wallace lined up at Z, which is where he was his entire college career. It was Devin Duvernay, and what that tells
Right.
me is that he has progressed in his route running, that he has
Right.
loosened up his hips because you can't have a stiff receiver lining up
No.
at Z. They would just give those reps to somebody else if they felt
Right.
that Duvernay could not do that. So that's something that it makes me hopeful for Duvernay. Now we haven't seen it. Maybe we'll see it this Saturday in the preseason game. But Devin Duvernay is going to have looks like he's going to have a chance to expand his game and not just be a gadget guy like we saw last year.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have a chance to expand his game. Like you were saying, Jason, I mean, these guys are making strides. You see it. It's a whole different sense of motivation. These guys are making strides to be the best that they can be the best that they can be at their position. And you just see that like contagious work ethic. Like you just see it's just resonating among the whole wide receiver core. And I mean, like we said, like Duvernay, I think he's primed for a big season. Like you said, I mean, he's not going to be a gadget guy. I don't want to label anybody like that to demean their, position, their actual position. But that's kind of, what they used him for. I mean, what they used him for back at Texas, same thing. He was just running past guys and, he'll get a slant and he'll be gone, It wasn't too much technical things that they worked on with him as far as being a wide receiver is development in that. And I mean, that speaks to it. Like I said, you got to have a tremendous amount of confidence to put that guy at Z
Right.
and be like, yeah, if Hollywood's not here, hey, you gonna be Zeke. Like, so
Right.
yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, what are you expecting to see from preseason?
Well, I'm expecting a full blown competition now in that slot receiver role between Duvernay and Prochet.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is people, Knox, they look at the Ravens as this two tight end. We run the ball all the time set.
Right.
But 11 personnel, and for those of you who don't know, that's with three receivers on the field. The Ravens still run that at about 60% of the time, I want to say. Maybe I'll
Yep.
flash the number up if I'm wrong. But basically, more than half the time, the Ravens have three wide receivers out there. And that's counting Mark Andrews as a tight end. So if Mark Andrews is flexed out, that's actually a four wide receiver set, even though Andrews has an 89 on his tight end, labeled by his name. So it's
Right.
it's going to be an open competition. We are going to need another receiver to produce aside from Sammy and Hollywood. And I expect Prochet and Bateman to really battle for that role. You know how Harbaugh kind of takes it easy with the rookies, and that doesn't bode well for Tylan Wallace early on. I think that he's really, really going to have to earn his spot to get time ahead of Duvernay and Prochet. So when I look at this game and when I look at how the first 8 weeks, say Bateman's out for 8 weeks, first 8 weeks of the season goes before the bye, I'm looking at how big of a role, or I expect them actually to rotate at slot receiver and just see what works best. What do you think, Knox? Do you think it's going to be a rotation there?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a rotation. Just able to keep these guys fresh and just bring a new set of eyes on the field. I mean, football is all situational. So whatever the defense is running, whatever you feel like, whatever scheme that Greg Roman that this defense is running, I think you're going to put the most favorable guy there. Like you said, I mean, his route running. I mean, Duvernay has that elite speed. Just been working on the route running, and Prochet has great route running, but obviously not the quickness that some people would assume comes with a wide receiver. But I mean, he does great with separation. So it like I said, I mean, it plays into like a situational thing. If you feel like you can beat a guy here, and I mean, we've seen it in that whole Titans game. When he was able to do that, I mean, he broke that guy down. So I just
Right.
think it's a situational thing. Rotate these guys, just keep the defense honest.
Yeah, and I think it could be matchup specific for some of these guys.
Right.
As far as with Duvernay, you get that long speed, and I think people forget Knox. This is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a little nugget for you, but Duvernay and Prochet were battling for the most catches in the nation their last year in
Yes.
college.
Yes. They
So,
were right underneath each other, bro. Right
so
underneath each other.
So let's not just act like these guys can only do one thing. If you're going to catch over
Exactly.
100 balls in college, you can do a bunch of things really well at the college level. And with the way the off season, not to harp on COVID, everybody had to deal with it. But big step forward, I expect for Duvernay and Prochet. And man, we're really going to need those guys with Bateman being out right now.
Yeah, I mean, guys are gonna have to, carry the load. Guys are gonna have to carry the load, and like I alluded to earlier, just be the next man up. It's no time for crying. It's no time for quitting. It's no time for complaining. Just go in there and get the job done. And we've never been the type of team to back down and let injuries affect us. I mean, injuries are inevitable. Football is a contact sport. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's not like these guys are invincibles. These guys aren't machines. So injuries are gonna happen. Like it sucks. I mean, it hurts for the fan. Because I mean, I know a lot of people spend their hard-earned money on going to the games and make certain sacrifices, but at the same time these guys got lives too. These guys are human. So it's gonna be those type of injuries, like you said earlier. Hollywood, I mean, he was fighting through those injuries for he played with a screw in his foot.
Yeah.
So I mean, if Hollywood played with a screw in his foot, you can only imagine like the type of pains, injuries that these guys deal with, and they still just press on, press on, press on. But Bateman did the smart thing, and he said, "Man, I'm just address this now before it gets any worse." Well, I try to play through it, and I really, derail my whole career. So yeah, I'm expecting everybody to just next man up mentality. We got the right coaches. I'm confident in their expertise and their player development. So it's no issues for me there.
Yeah, really good. And one kind of wild card I want to throw out there to you, Knox, is I really think that not that he had a problem making the roster. I think he is going to make the roster. Shout out to Dev Panchwal, by the way, for his work on this guy. But Josh Oliver, Knox, like,
Mm,
slot receivers come in all shapes and sizes. Just because you don't have a 5'10" slot receiver who's quick doesn't mean you can't put a 6'4" tight end in the slot,
right.
receiving tight end like Josh Oliver. So maybe this opens up some more playing time. Yes, a wide receiver got hurt, a guy who could play the X receiver, but maybe in a strange way, this opens up things for Josh Oliver, not only making the team, but to have an impact as a pass catcher early on in this season.
Yeah, and that's and that is like awesome. Like I've been hearing nothing but great things from Josh Oliver this whole camp. Mark Andrews has been our, our typical F wide receiver. I mean, not wide receiver, F tight end for the longest. And we've been getting nothing but Y guys, Nick Boyle, um, Eric Tomlinson. We brought him in, guys that are, traditionally meant for inline blocking, that those wide type guys. So now to get another receiving guy, another receiving threat is just it's amazing, man. It's great, just to see how these guys come together. When I was at training camp, I seen Josh Oliver, make a couple good catches, a couple catches that you would be like, wow, like this guy's a tight end. Like, yeah, like this guy's good, man. And our passing game doesn't just involve wide receivers. It involves running backs as well. JK has been getting his reset back, and Gus Edwards been getting a little bit of the action as well, and a couple, we're gonna space guys out at all the way around. Like I don't think that this is just gonna be all right, man. Yeah, the wide receivers are just so that's it. Well, there goes the passing game. Like no, we got other guys. We're gonna still run this 3 tight end set. We're gonna still get these 2 running backs out the backfield that can catch, and we're gonna move on, man. We're just gonna have to build on when all those guys are healthy and come back. Then we're working in like that. But all isn't lost because we lose a couple wide receivers. Now, granted, like I don't want to act like this isn't a big deal, but we're gonna move on just like how we've overcome every other injuries.
Yeah, and I love Rashod Bateman's game, and I think that we are going to need him if we want to go deep into the postseason. Injuries are
Right.
going to happen elsewhere, so having a healthy Rashod Bateman in December is going to be key to how far this team can go. I would put the O line as the number one priority, but close
Mm-hmm.
behind that is going to be able to have either Sammy or Rashad or both, bringing something else to that other side of the formation. And Knox, I also wanted to ask. Just real quickly before we wrap up here, what did you see at training camp from any other receivers? And also, is how do you think the offense is going to evolve this year? Without Bateman, can we still evolve as an offense?
Yeah, I think most definitely we still can evolve. Like I said, I mean, the biggest thing is I'm always harp on it is that you got the right coaches. You got the right wide receiver coaches to help. You got a passing game coordinator that is, competent at that position, and that's going to give you some additional insight, give Greg Roman a new set of eyes, a new perspective, a new look, and a new scheme, like how you want to look at things from a scheme perspective, schematically. So, um, what I seen, I mean, I seen guys, making catches. The defense went. Unfortunately, when I went there, the defense won that day. Geno Stone got a pick. um, Chris Rescue had a couple PBUs on Deion Kane. But guys were making catches. I'll tell you one thing. Duvernay made the biggest thing that I seen was Duvernay making a lot of catches in traffic. And I think that was kind of like the theme. You start seeing him, Tylen Wallace made a couple catches in traffic. And that's not something that I mean, obviously we didn't see too much of Duvernay anyway, but I started seeing like with my own eyes, like, dang, okay, Duvernay making catches in traffic, contested catches, that's a great sign. To know that, these guys, these quarterbacks trust these guys, and he's throwing it in tight windows and expecting these guys to come down with it. And if you see the drills that they've been practicing, it's been, you know, T. Martin and Keith Williams, they've also been implementing some good drills to help these guys catch in traffic. So I think this offense can still be, potent. We can still do what we need to do passing wise. Like I said, you're not just getting the wide receivers ball. Another thing that I noticed was Mark Andrews. He had a couple drops. It was kind of a rough day. for him. But after that, you see T. Martin go over here, and he had a conversation with him on the sideline, and he was talking to him. And obviously, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Wall. I wish, but
Right.
he had a great. He had a you can tell he was kind of coaching him up, like, hey, look, man, this is what you need to improve on. Maybe some technical things. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and try to speculate, but you can tell, like, that was just a big sign, knowing that these guys just came in and these guys trust these coordinators that we brought in to be like, okay, I'm gonna take heed of what he's saying. So I think this offense will be perfectly fine. Of course it's going to look different. I never said it's not going to look different, but I think in the long run it's going to bode well for each other. It's going to be sufficient enough until we get to where we need to go, till Rashod gets back and everybody else stays healthy.
And I think some of these other receivers like Jalen Moore, Benjamin Victor, Deion Kane, something like this, as unfortunate as it is for Rashod, I'm sure they feel for Rashod, this is going to give them a chance to make the team. Boykin is not a given. When I watch him run the drills with the other receivers, it still looks like he has a little bit of an issue with hip sync, change of directions. I haven't been able to see if he is tracking the ball any better, which was my main knock on him. It took him too long to find the ball. He was kind of just out there kind of wandering, for lack of a better word. And I try to be really respectful to all the Ravens players. But, I guess what I'm saying is, if you just want to, I think it'd be a mistake to say, well, if we keep 6 receivers now with Bateman on the IR, I guess Boykin's the 6th receiver. I think he could get the true competition from the other guys that I mentioned. Out of Victor, Kane, Jalen Moore, or anybody else that you want to mention, who should I keep an eye out for this preseason to see if they can carve a role if the Ravens do still keep 6 receivers?
I think Benjamin Victor. Jalen Moore has been having a good camp. Deion Kane, I mean, he's been injured, so I don't even know even if he'll be a full go for that preseason game, and that's coming up. So it just narrows it down to Benjamin Victor and Deion Kane. And I mean, Benjamin Victor has just shown that he can make catches routinely contested, beating guys off of that press, getting that releases. It's just anything that you ask this guy to do, I mean, he can do it, So the biggest thing is just consistently. Can you do it consistently? Can you do it against, obviously, and he's going against the best in the secondary. So if you can win against these guys, then, I mean, I got the utmost confidence that he'll put that on full display and against the Saints in the preseason and this whole offseason. I mean, this whole preseason as well.
Yes, and like I mentioned with the tight ends, I mean, if they have a smaller slot cornerback or a smaller safety that they're asking to cover the slot, Benjamin Victor, it isn't no harm, Knox, into asking him to stretch the field from the slot. I think he can do that. So, he's another weapon that could help us get through until Rashod is back at least. But Knox, I wanted to really thank you. Serious episode here. Our hearts and prayers go out to Rashod. And I just hope that he comes back 100% and is able to help this team. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we sign off here?
No, man. I think we did our due diligence here, man. I just prayers for Rashod and pray that he can get back, and prayers for I just hope that keep praying for Hollywood and hope that he can return to full strength. Last thing you want to have is on the one full off season he gets is to get injured again. So that's kind of sucks. But yeah, man, just prayers up for those guys.
Hey, so I want to thank everybody for watching as usual. If you want to catch Knox, we have 2 previous episodes, I believe, with him talking about Benjamin Victor on a deep dive, and of course, Coach Keith Williams and Coach T. Martin. Sorry about that. Sorry, coaches. Sorry, coaches. Yeah, I mean, they're both just such a great addition. I'm kind of Keith Williams fan over here. I got to be honest with you. So, yeah, man, I just love these drills, and I love he just fits the Ravens mentality. So, sorry for stumbling through that, everybody. But if you want to check out Knox on previous videos, go ahead and check out the catalog. Get more Knox. And Knox, I will see you again very soon. We're going to go ahead and preview this game coming up this Saturday. But thank you very much for joining me, Knox.
Thanks, Jason, man. I appreciate it. Anytime, man.